thought I would talk about a topic that gets brought up a lot in fics, in a lot of fics actually, if you look, and that is what they call shipping. This is a short term for basically creating a relationship where either there was one to begin with, the hintings of one to begin with, or there wasn't really a relationship there to begin with. You will see a lot of these mentioned in various fandoms. Believe it or not, there have been many pairings in the Harry Potter verse discussed by fans, including Draco and Hermione, Harry and Draco, damn, I can't remember more of them. But even J.K. Rowling had said she had toyed with the notion of Harry ending up with Hermione. And of course, in the fourth book, you also had Hermione and Victor. And it's probably would have been something for them to have ended up together, just to see how it would play it out. There's even been hinting about the thought of a Harry-Draco relationship. Possibility friendship, possibility more. Kinda hard to say. Fans can get some strange ideas in their minds. But relationships are always there, and when you're working with two established characters, it can be tricky doing a relationship between them. I know for years, when Generation X had its run, you could see hints that there might have been a possibility of Jubilation, the Everett Thomas crossover, or not crossover, relationship. And you might have even thought that Angelo Espinosa and Lene St. Croix might have made a cute couple, considering that in one issue of the series that they had attended a party together. Of course, when you have very few people to deal with, it's easy to do that. But what makes ships so fun? Well, it's the ideas of the pairings that in part make it fun. They're good for the hopeless romantics to work with, and you can have a whole bunch of stories that even work with the after effects. I know I've seen a few that have led to some angst-ridden stories, and that's only typical of any relationship. You think, they should be with me, not him, or they should be with her, not her. It's all sorts of things. You can get all sorts of drama that comes about with ships. Is this a good thing to work with? Well, if you're pretty good at writing a drama, yes, it's a great thing to work with, because that plays to your strengths. Do you have to make the couple a happy couple? No, you don't have to make them happy. It's our ideal to make them happy. But we must always remember that with any ship relationship, to understand the good, you must have the bad. And that is always a trick. So how do we deal with that? Well, first off, you have to take into account a relationship that exists. If a relationship is hinted at and possible, you have an easier time working with what they have. I.e., for example, the Jubilation's feelings for Everett Thomas during the run of Generation X. You could tell that she cared for him and she was crushing on him. So it's possible that a relationship could have happened. That's easier than saying that characters like Paige Guthrie and Everett Thomas hooking up. Although if you look at Paige's current, past, the whole story of Paige and how she has evolved as a character, she has made some pretty questionable choices when it comes to relationships. She has apparently hooked up with Jonathan Stars more than later, and then Warren Worthington, aka Angel, let's face it, the comics even had them having a bit of a moment in the skies. New definition to the Mile High Club. And now what? She got paired up with Mortimer Toynbee, aka Toad. And she's going through her own issues, psychologically. So what does this say for her? Is it saying she's easy, she falls in love easy, she's looking for Mr. Right now, maybe not Mr. Right? It's a whole mess. I mean, let's see, Monet is a bit more stable. I mean, as far as I know, she's only had 2 real relationships. She had the relationship with Monet St. Croix, had the relationship with Everett Thomas, and then later on, Jamie Mardox. That would have probably been an interesting thing to try and figure out, given his power. Anyhow, that's the things about ships. Plus, now with things being more open in the LGBT community, it is possible to see pairings between men and women, what they call, I think, what is it called? I know the one's apparently called slash. So, I myself don't deal with it with main characters, more like secondary characters. But then again, that's part of my style. I have no problem with it. I don't necessarily read it, but I have no problem with it. And that just shows how things have changed. There is an openly gay character in the series Gen 13, although I think she was hinted at the possibility of buying. That was Sarah Rainmaker. And it is very possible to see her getting coupled up with, let's see, the boy who was crushing on her, and then I can't remember his name. I think it was called his code name was Burnout or something. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. But people could put him or her together in a relationship. Maybe even put her with other characters. Thing is, if it's open or not. I mean, I've even toyed with, when I had Gen 13 and Gen X crossover in one story, that she was, hey, that redhead looks cute. Maybe I can hook up with her. Having her think those when the possibility was right out of the question. But this is the freedom that we have as writers. We can combine relationship characters together that would work together. But the danger of ships is that you may think 2 characters belong together who have shown no sign. While you have, and this is one of the key things with the Hermione Draco thought of pairing. Draco, at the time, was strictly pureblood minded. Now, could this have been a front that he put up so he didn't get suspected of liking a Muggleborn? Or was this genuine feelings? Later on, it is, of course, revealed that he questioned some of these feelings, as Rowling has said, and later became a healer as sort of a self-imposed penance for being such a jerk. So what do we take with that? Well, it's possible, but strongly against it at the time. I mean, let's face it, it would be harder to believe. I know there's fans who want to think Draco Hermione, that was a perfect couple. But it probably was never going to happen, even if it would. Now, Scorponok, who was Draco's son, and Rose, which is Ron and Hermione's daughter, that's a pairing I could see. It could be like the final chapter of Draco's family shedding their pure blood mania. And it would be a perfect way for it to end, in my opinion. That way you have the best of both worlds. It would be almost picture perfect. Of course, that doesn't always mean it's going to happen. Ships can be anywhere. You can find them anywhere. My suggestion is, of course, to go with the more established of possible ones, because if you go for ones that aren't established or aren't even hinted at, you are going to make a mess of things. Now, sure, there's some fans of every possible relationship pairing out there in the world. The question is, can you make any of them plausible? If you can form a relationship somewhere it's not, and can make it valid and rational. I mean, let's face it, love is not rational, but readers can be rational. So if you can find a way to make it rational, more power to you. God bless you. If you can't, I wouldn't try it. This is sound advice, because Everett pairing with Monet, very plausible. Everett pairing with Jubilation, very plausible. Everett pairing with Angelo Espinosa, again, all these from Generation X. I can't see them anymore as friends, but maybe. But, again, the plausibility. The more unlikely the coupling, the more you have to figure out so much to make it rational. And that's not easy. That is my advice when it comes to relationships. Shipping. We could go on for a couple more. I could go on a half hour if I wanted to about this, but let's face it, it would just be repeating some of my same statements. So, if you want to create a relationship, go right ahead, but look at how plausible it is. That's my advice. And that is all for now. If you have been enjoying my ramblings and the advice I give, please subscribe. And keep an eye out. And I'll keep sharing these, hopefully on Comic Vine, and if I can find other places to share them, do so. I'll do so, and please check them out.